lead follow-up and accountability. It's definitely not the most fun or glamorous part of running a real estate team, but it is one of the most important aspects. So as our team was growing and we were looking for input on what the best way is to put some accountability around lead follow-up, we noticed that there was either a lot of micromanagement, or there was a lot of lax, and not a lot of standards in place when it came to leads. And we needed to find something in the middle that made everyone happy, that gave us the information around lead follow up and tracking that we needed from an operations standpoint, but also was easy enough for the agents to do on a regular basis, along with clear standards. So, why does accountability seem so hard when it comes to real estate teams and leads? A lot of it is when there is a lot of micromanagement, we're tracking everything under the sun. And the question really comes down to, are you doing anything with the data that you're actually tracking? If you are, that's awesome. If it's impacting your business in a positive way and it's helping your agents grow, perfect. Um, if you don't know what's happening with your leads, like we have to put some standards in place. And that was kind of where we were at a point in our business as the team number of agents was growing and the amount of leads were thankfully increasing. We kind of lost touch on where they were going and what stage in the process they were in. And we had some fall through the cracks. So we knew we needed a little more accountability, but we didn't need the accountability of tracking everything. So another reason why accountability seems to fail with a lot of teams is nobody wants to be the bad guy, right? A lot of accountability can feel like micromanagement, and it gives us an icky feeling to feel like we're telling people what to do or we're bossing them around, or from an agent standpoint where they feel, some shame along those lines. That was definitely what we were looking to avoid. And then if you know me as an operations person, I like to have as few tools as possible. So I needed everybody working out of the same system. So we had information in a lot of different places, or we were one off trying to ask like, hey, what's going on with this lead? Or we were getting emails. There was emails with information. There were spreadsheets with information. There were verbal conversations. So we needed to streamline everything all in one place. And that's kind of where our lead follow-up was falling apart. It was just happening in way too many places. So a lot of reasons for accountability to not really have a successful place. So what did we do? First, we needed to define the standard and decide what is actually important and what do we actually need to know when it comes to leads following up. Do we want to track all of the leads that come in, like even internet leads coming from, Facebook posts? Do we want to track Sphere for our agents and the customers they're working with there? Do we want to track inbound leads? So narrowing in on first, what kind of leads are we going to track? Are we going to track all of them or just some of them? And for us, it was just some of the leads. So really deciding like, information is information, and that's great. But what are the most important leads? And we're honing in on our hottest leads with the highest intent. And those are the ones that we are tracking. So we don't want to track everything. We just want to track the most important ones. Also, getting clear on the standard of how often should these leads be followed up with. Do you have different follow-up for different stages in the process? And then also clarity around how should these leads be followed up with? Does it have to be a phone call? Does an email count? Are text messages okay? And then do those reach outs have to have a response come back, or is an attempt just good enough? So a few things to think through as you're clarifying your expectations and your process as you're determining what's important when it comes to lead follow-up and accountability. So for our team, what we track, like I said, we don't track all of the leads in our system. We are just tracking, if you've watched a previous YouTube video about how we use tags, and I'm going to show you our system in Lofty for how we follow up with all these leads. But if you've watched that previous video on how we use tags, we have a specific tag for the leads that we follow up with and hold our agents accountable to. And those are our silver platter leads. Those are our inbound leads with high intent that we've had a conversation with before an agent on our team has been assigned to work with them. So for us, that's what works. If you need to track all of the leads in your business, track all of the leads in your business. Just make sure that you have clear expectations around what that follow up looks like. So for us, we are only tracking those silver platter, high intent inbound leads. What keeps an agent in compliance? They cannot have any overdue follow up tasks. Every lead must have a next task assigned so that there's always a next step in the process. There's always a reason to reach out. So what is that next task? What is that next reach out that you're going to have with this lead to stay in flow and stay in relationship with them? So our minimum standard for follow up is a touch every 30 days. So a lead that is high intent with rapport should not go more than 30 days without hearing from an agent on our team. So these rules are not secret. We put a lot of thought into what leads we were going to track and what the criteria were for staying in compliance with follow-up. We explained it clearly to the team. We held trainings on it. We recorded our system, and we have it in our team's knowledge library where it's easy to be referenced in case they have any questions. So just again, a note, your standards will look different on the type of business that you have, the type of lead sources that you have, and the type of business model that you are running. Maybe your leads need more follow-up, more frequent. Maybe you require phone calls. Completely up to you. Just sharing what our standards are, just to give you kind of a jumping off point to know if you need a little more accountability or if you need a little less, and that would be sufficient for your team. So the point is, accountability starts with clarity around the standards. So definitely have that first and make sure that you have a super clear process, because you definitely don't want to build and scale on something that isn't going to work or is already broken from the start. So the criteria for our check, those are our standards, and we check them every Thursday, 9 a.m. without fail. So that consistent checkup set the expectation and the standard for the agents on our team, so they know every week when leads are going to be checked. It's not a surprise. We don't do any surprise pop-up, I'm checking today, just to catch you off guard. We don't do that. We make sure that it is a very clear system, and that helps the agents time block and plan their schedules. And it also helps us on the administration side with expectations and planning as well. So what does that Thursday check look like? We have saved filters in Lofty. So I did a previous video on tags and filters if you use Lofty as your database. So check that out and then come back to this video. But we use that silver platter tag in Lofty on all of our leads that are subject to follow up. And then each agent on our team has a custom filter, like a custom view, where I go in and check every week. So there's silver platter leads that are subject to being followed up with. They're easy for me to sort and find. And it's super quick and easy for me to see if their tasks are up to date and if they have followed up within the past 30 days. And that means they are in compliance with their leads. So I'm going to show you really quickly what that looks like in Lofty. So if you use Lofty and want to build this out for yourself, it'll give you just a quick visual. So let me pull up what this looks like for you. All right, so what we have over here, I'm going to pull up you can see silver platter filters for all of the agents on our team. I'm going to pull up the Josh silver platter. These are just our test leads for you to see. So you can come in here and see it filtered out just 3 leads. Um, Also, you can see how we are working through the pipeline, and this is how I check. I also have another video on how to customize your pipeline stages in Lofty. So if you want to check that out to change these to help with lead follow-up, you can check that video out. So what we do first is if I check attempting contact, we don't have any leads in this stage. I come here, I see nurturing. I see a lead. I see that there's not a task set. So this would fall out of alignment with our standards. And then I can see that with this last touch, the manual last touch, they were called 34 minutes ago. So that means that they would be in compliance here, but not in compliance here. So the agent would need to go and quickly add a task to be in compliance for the following week. All right, no leads and appointments set. I can see that there's one in agreement signed. This one looks great. So next task is to call about a new community on August 27th. So we're in compliance there. Nothing is overdue. And I can see that they have been communicated with within the last 30 days. So this is what a compliant lead looks like in our Lofty check system. If I come over here, so you can see here, if a task is overdue, it does turn red. So it's very easy to see if lead tasks are overdue. And then I can see that this last touch emailed 7 days ago. There's also not, it doesn't tell me what the next step is. So there's no text here to tell me what the next task is. So that would also be out of compliance for us. So for this agent to get back in compliance, they would need to come in. They would need to check off their task and they would need to add a new task. So call next week about showings. We would copy that. Lofty has a thing where it needs to be in the title and the description for it to show up. And so we're going to make this a call and we need to call, let's say in 1 week, and then we're going to save that task. And then we are going to refresh just to make sure that it shows up. And then I can go back, refresh. That task, sometimes Lofty takes a little bit to update. There we go. Call about new community on August 4th is now up there. And so this agent would then be compliant. So that is how we track. Again, custom filters and then the silver platter tag makes it very easy for us to follow up with our leads. So you can see that there's a clear system. We have clear expectations of what we're looking for. And then the system within Lofty makes it very easy for us to hop in and just quickly at a glance know who has followed up with leads and who is a little behind on their follow-up. We've removed any emotion out of the process because it's very factual. This lead is missing a task. This task is overdue. This lead has not been communicated with in more than 30 days. So there's no emotion. It's just the facts. That has also helped our accountability process where we're not feeling icky. It's just what is in the system. So you can see that this is manual, which is fine. It was only taking me about 10 minutes to check all 13 agents that are on rotation for our team. But what I have done, it's very easy to do. So I have leveraged that task off to our AI agent now, and our AI agent is able to hop in and do this lead rotation check for me every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And then at the end of the process, I get a report on who is on red light, which means they are out of compliance, and who is on green light, which means they are in compliance. Now, I know this is no one's favorite part, but there are consequences that come with not following up with leads. If we have an agent on our team that is out of compliance and their follow-up is overdue, they are not taking any more leads. They're removed from rotation until we check again the following week when they have the opportunity to be put back on green light if their follow-up is now up to date, and they will be put back on our lead rotation. So, our agents After the check is done, like I said, we use, if you've watched a couple of our other videos, Josh and I use OpenClaw in our business, and that is now the check is automatically done. And that's because we have a super clear system built out within Lofty that I was just able to give the directions on how to check everything to our AI agent. And our AI agent is able to now do that, but it's also able to quickly filter through like, these are the leads, this is the problem. And then our AI agent even communicates with the agents on our team via email to let them know, hey, great job, you're on green light this week, or hey, your follow up is out of date. And it actually will tell them these are the leads that are out of compliance, and this is the issue with that. So I'll just quickly show you what that looks like. And I have that here. So we have an email template that goes out to the agents on our team every single week. And it just says, like, hi, and it will actually say their name. You're on red light this week. These leads need your attention. There's an overdue task. There's been no manual touch in 45 days. Log in. Green light status resets every Thursday. Just a reminder of when that due date is. And then if they have questions, they can reach out to me. Our green light, it just lets them know, hi, agent, you're on green light. Your silver platter leads are up to date. Everything looks good. And if they have questions, again, they can also reach out to me. So there's built-in communication. So the agents always know where they stand with their lead follow-up and also their eligibility for rotation each week. So, why this works for us? We have a very clear standard on what our lead follow up expectations are. We are clear, our agents are clear, and it works for both of us. And it's built into a simple system that the agent is working out of and our admin team is working out of. So, one easy place with established follow up. We're not tracking all the things like dials and calls and conversations. We're just tracking the follow up with those leads. The second reason why this works is because it's consistent. It happens on the same day at the same time every single week. There's no more, hey, did you get in touch with that lead? Or, hey, remember 2 months ago when you got that? And there's no, some details being in email and some being in text. So it's very consistent. All communication is kept in one place. So the agent logs what happened. I'm able to log in at any point and see where we're at with the lead follow up for a particular lead that went to an agent. The third reason it works, there's specific feedback. The agent always knows where they stand with their follow up. Hey, we checked it. This is out of compliance, or hey, we checked it. It looks good this week. Great job. And then the last one is the agents that are on green light. There's positive affirmation of like, they get the email where it's like, hey, you're on green light, and they are recognized every week. And they get just that little email that says, hey, all your follow up is up to date and you've been doing a really great job. So it encourages them to stay on green light. Also, they do get leads when they're on green light and they don't when they're on red. So that's also another reason why it works, is because there is a consequence if the lead follow up isn't in place. So I hope this is helpful for you, just as a glimpse of how accountability works on our team. If that micromanagement just seems like a little much, where you're not a team leader that wants to micromanage people, or you don't want the agents on your team to feel micromanaged, we have discovered what for us feels like a happy medium, where the agents don't feel micromanaged, but we are also still getting the information on lead follow up that we need. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have questions, drop them in the comments, or you can hop over to Instagram and send Josh and I a DM at the Josh and Kelly on Instagram. And I hope you will follow for more helpful videos on systems and building and scaling a real estate team.